let me say a few things in English. We are grateful that the General Assembly, the bigger house, for all the nations, the small and the big, the poor and the rich, the General Assembly was more courageous, more principled. And the President of the General Assembly, he was a brave man, met with us in the morning, and he defended traditions and norms of the General Assembly in dealing with issues related to the maintenance of international peace and security that required two-thirds majority, and the General Assembly prevailed and sent the appropriate message, not only to the Palestinian people that there is justice and fairness and international humanitarian law upheld by the General Assembly, but also it sent a message to everyone: enough is enough, this war has to stop, the carnage against our people has to stop, and humanitarian assistance should begin to enter the Gaza Strip with at least 100 truckloads of humanitarian assistance, and to stop the crime against humanity of forced transfer. I am so proud to be with this group, with my brothers and sisters who carried Palestine high on their shoulders, and they prevailed and they succeeded. All the congratulations, all the gratefulness from the Palestinian people, from the leadership of the Palestinian people, from the people of Gaza who are facing this war. We are grateful to you. You are true brothers and sisters to Palestine. We will never forget this position that you took during these days, and the firmness that you demonstrated along with our brothers and sisters in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And we prevailed, we succeeded, but this is only chapter 1. Because this ground war, we have to maximize our efforts and our energies in order to stop this war, because it means more killing of children, more killing of civilians, more destruction, more failing of hospitals, more failing of being able to have the sustenance of human beings. And we will be with them, and we will do everything. We will continue knocking on the door of the Security Council. We need to go to the General Assembly if we need, and we will keep working with the Secretary General and the President of the General Assembly in order to stop this war against the 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. And we thank you as journalists in covering, our story, because some of the media, which is blinded with one narrative, is not fairly covering our story. Please cover it completely, cover it comprehensively, cover the massacres and the crimes committed against our people in Gaza. This can contribute in a decisive way to stop this war, and I thank you very much, brothers and sisters. No.
This is a question for the Palestinian ambassador and for anybody else. My name is Stefano Vaccara, La Voce di New York. In practical terms, first of all, congratulations, Ambassador. And in practical terms, the resolution is now binding in the General Assembly. So in practical terms, what do you expect to happen in the next hours, next days? And then I have another question for you. Some countries that in those years have been friends, you consider friends of the Palestinian people, didn't vote for the resolution. What message do you have for those countries?
Can I just answer on the next steps, please? And first of all, I'd like to say, add our thanks to the unity of the Arab group today and the unity of the membership, actually. 120 votes in this kind of geopolitical environment is a very, very high signal of the support for international law, for proportionate use of force that this body feels. And it is a rejection of the status quo that is currently happening on the ground in Gaza. Humanitarian aid must come in. There must be humanitarian ceasefires or truces to allow for those who have been injured and wounded to seek medical assistance. And these are binding resolutions in the General Assembly. They carry incredible weight and moral authority. So we will take, to answer your second question, we will take that moral authority that the GA has just pronounced itself on. and we will work in the Security Council on an E10 proposal to try and break the gridlock that has held back a council product on this matter. And I think the two will go hand in hand to reinforce what the international community has said today very clearly that it wishes to see. It wishes to see the protection of civilians, all civilians, but particularly the civilians that have lost their lives on the ground in Gaza, and those who could be losing their lives in Gaza if this continues. It wishes to see humanitarian aid come in for those who need it so desperately, and it wishes to see the upholding of international law. I think these are principles that we can all collectively agree upon. And those who voted in favor of the resolution, I think, were a resounding number if you look at previous GA resolutions in a very tense geopolitical environment. So thank you.
Let me just also add, the General Assembly in a resumed special emergency session declared calling for a ceasefire, which means that this is the first body of the UN with authority that is calling for that. So therefore, this war has to stop. There is an articulation by a very important component of the United Nations, and it's a message from the General Assembly, as my sister Lana has indicated, to the Security Council, that the General Assembly acted, and they will take the decision of the General Assembly to the Security Council so that the Security Council to wake up and to shoulder its responsibility, and also to act in sync with the General Assembly. And Israel has to obey. There is no such thing as is not binding. Whatever we decide in the international community, whether in the Security Council or in the General Assembly in general, or in the form of a resumed emergency session, should be binding, and it is our collective duty not to accept this continuous rebellions by a member state in refusing to honor and respect the decisions in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. So we have tools in our hand. Today, the General Assembly declared that a call, stop the war and stop it now, send the humanitarian assistance now at scale, and also stop the ethnic cleansing and the killing, and protect the Palestinians, protect the civilians. All these things were contained in this General Assembly resolution. Therefore, we will take it. The Security Council has to take it in order to maximize the political pressure on Israel to stop this war and to save Palestinian civilians, including children and women and the elderly, from dying as a result of this war. And let me also add, we are grateful for a large number of Europeans who did not vote in favor of adding the amendment, which failed. There were a total of 14 significant countries that voted in favor of that amendment, a large number of them from the Pacific Islands. The great majority of European countries either voted in favor or abstained, and we are beginning to see what we wanted to accomplish, that the Europeans beginning to look at the situation from a humanitarian angle, and that would be very helpful, whether in the Security Council or in maximizing pressure in Israel to stop this war. These elements would help us as we move forward in the direction of stopping this war against the Palestinian people and saving lives. We want to save lives. And this message should help all of us to save lives, not to kill lives by this huge Israeli war machine. And we will assess and evaluate as a group and with our friends, not only from the OIC, our brothers and sisters, but also from other groups, from the Europeans as well, that we will not accept that this war to continue and the killing of the Palestinian people to continue. We are today, after the voting, in a better position than before the voting, that would allow us to get closer to succeeding in stopping this war, and then begin to think of the day after, to think of justice, to think of fairness, to think of a political horizon, to think of ending the occupation and allowing the two-state solution to become a reality. All these things are important, and I think we want to thank you so much. And also, it is great that you appreciated what we did in the draft resolution regarding journalists. Let us not forget Shireen Abu Akleh, and we will not forget what happened to our brother, who lost his family from Al Jazeera, Wael al-Dahdouh, and all journalists. We honor them, we remember them, and we appreciate your work. And we will keep you informed as things move forward. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bombardment. Israel started bombarding during the session.
This has been the Nod News Network. Transmission complete.